lost a lot of lupus patients because the diagnosis came so late. I still told my mom, I'm not going to practice, I'm staying home. I took a nap and I woke up before she was on her way home, and I had blood ulcers all throughout my mouth.
What?
And so, 14-year-old waking up like that, you're panicking, like what's going on? I knew something was wrong, but because they were so calm, everything that was happening, because it was happening so fast, made me just kind of take a deep breath and just be okay.
What's the most shocking thing about lupus?
I think the most shocking thing right now is that it takes almost 6 years to be diagnosed. I was a rarity in my diagnosis. Don't give up. There's always a blessing in the testimony. And sometimes you don't understand the trial that you're going through, but that trial may not be for you. It may be for someone else.
What's up, good people? I'm your guy, Aubrey Dunbar. We're back here in the great city of Aiken, South Carolina. That's right. Now, I don't know if I need to be super serious on this episode or try to be as, bring the energy. But I think this episode deserves some big energy, so I'm gonna keep it 100. I'm gonna be myself, and we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna get the education today. We're gonna get the education from Jade Nealious of Nealious, South Carolina, with her organization Crowning Lupus. All right. What's up, good people? We're back here with another show, SE Power Moves. I am your guy, Aubrey Dunbar. I'm here with Jade Nealious of Nealious, South Carolina. She's the founder of Crowning Lupus, a nonprofit organization here in Aiken, South Carolina. Jade, what's up?
Hey, good people, good people.
Yeah, man, yeah. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
Like, I remember back in the day when you first told me about it. I mean, this is probably, what year was that, like 20?
So it was like 2014 when I told you about it, but this is year 11.
Year 11.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. So take us from the beginning to the end. So I guess we'll start with, like, once you realized you were sick, what led you to believe that you had lupus and that you were actually seriously sick?
So it wasn't anything that actually led me to it, right? I was a competitive cheerleader. I cheered for Silver Bluff High School Bulldogs, and it started as like my arm would lock up and I couldn't straighten it. Or I remember a basketball game where my foot was so swollen it wouldn't fit in a shoe. And so you know how the cheerleaders go out on the basketball court at halftime?
Yeah.
Well, I went out with one shoe on and one shoe off. And then I went to a few sports med doctors because obviously you're throwing up girls twice your weight. Yeah. You automatically assume it's that. And so we got connected with, I don't even remember his name, but he was a physical therapist, and he said, hey, her blood work doesn't look right, but I just don't have all of the systems that she really needs to be tested for. So I'm going to refer her to my best friend who's a rheumatologist.
Okay. Was that in Augusta?
Augusta.
Okay.
And so at that point, it was like, wait, how did just these little systems, this is high school. Okay. So it was like, how are these little systems, you think I'm just going to cheer, and then it's, I need to see a rheumatologist. So that was a Wednesday. My appointment with the rheumatologist was the following Wednesday. Mm-hmm. But within those 7 days, I started having like these little red dots show up on my skin. Wow. And I was like, Mom, what's going wrong? And of course, your mom was like, well, you're about to go to the doctor. So she says, just don't freak out. It's okay. But they kept multiplying. So I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know.
Like freckles, or was it like?
Yeah, it looked like freckles, but they were red. And I knew something was wrong, but I think because my parents were so calm and collected that it just made me relax.
Yeah.
But the kicker was that Tuesday before my appointment, I was supposed to go to cheerleading practice, and I was so exhausted that I told my mom, I'm not going to practice, I'm staying home. I took a nap.
What's up, good people? Today's show has been brought to you by Opus Clips. Ready to elevate your video content? Join Opus Clips. Unlock premium editing features, exclusive templates, and advanced tools designed to bring your creativity to life. Sign up through my link below to snag bonuses just for my viewers. What are you waiting for? Opus Clips. It's designed to save you time and elevate your content.
And I woke up before she was on her way home, and I had blood ulcers all throughout my mouth.
What?
And so, 14-year-old waking up like that, you're panicking, like, what's going on? And she was like, I'm almost home. She got home. She called what would be the new doctor. Called him. He said, bring her first thing in the morning, because my appointment was the next day. They did 1 tube of blood, and I got immediately admitted, and I found out within 15 minutes that I had SLE, which is a type of lupus, which is systemic lupus erythematosus, and rheumatoid arthritis.
Man, I'm trying not to react like, oh my God, but that sounds so, like the title of it sounds intimidating. It sounds very, very serious. I mean, you're 14 years old, so did you freak out? Like freak out? You just didn't know what that meant.
So what's funny is that in my head, I was texting my friends like, I'm not coming to school today. I did not realize how serious I didn't realize how serious the situation was. In my head, it was, okay, I'm going to the hospital. Like, no biggie. I'm thinking
you got a cold.
I'm just gonna go in and come out. And I didn't realize until like they took the first tube in his office. They immediately transferred whatever they needed to transfer. At that time, it was University Hospital. I went over there, and then they took almost 15 tubes of blood. So at that point, it was like, okay, this is not just a day of missing school, like something's going on. But again, my parents were calm, so I was calm. So in my head, it was just like, okay, this is a little vacation day. But when they said, okay, she's being immediately admitted, I won't say it connected the dot because I still did not understand the severity. I think it was more so your parents can make or break you. And I say that because if they would have been panicked, I would have been panicked. But they were so calm that I knew something was wrong. But because they were so calm, everything that was happening, because it was happening so fast, made me just kind of take a deep breath and just be okay.
Did you know what lupus was, or have you ever heard of it before then?
I had never heard of it. I had never been around the term. So it was like, what? Where did this come from? And automatically the first thing you think is, what did I do? Did I do something wrong? So that was literally.
And nobody else in the family has it?
Nobody else in the family has it, or has been diagnosed, because that's the thing with lupus. Like, the research that exists now was not the research that existed 20 years ago, let alone 14 years ago, let alone, like it just wasn't there. So they think my great-great-grandfather had it, but there just wasn't the technology to test them for it.
Before we get too far in the weeds of that earlier story, tell us what lupus is, because I think I know, but a lot of people still don't really know. So
lupus is an autoimmune system, and the simplest way I can describe it is that your body attacks itself. It is in the belief that something is wrong. And of course, you have those white blood cells that protect your body and go in defense. Well, in a lupus patient, the cells don't know what's a good cell and what's a bad, so it attacks everything. And so you'll hear people say like, I'm in a flare. 9 times out of 10, that's when it's attacking. And so it's literally your body attacking itself in the belief that something is wrong.
Wow. So just to get back, we'll get back into the story, but what triggers that? Is it a trigger, or is it just like random, or is it something you eat, or your daily routine?
So I have been to a whole lot of conferences, and it is still to be determined. I've heard of environmental factors affecting lupus diagnosis. I've heard of genetics. There's still no concrete research to determine, but just over the last 30 to 40 years, this is where we're at now. So there's still studies being done, but it's no concrete, like, this is why you get it, this is where it came from. That doesn't exist.
Okay. So fear So the unknown kept you calm.
The unknown, not knowing. The one time that I did panic was, this was my first introduction to my rheumatologist, who is still my rheumatologist today. He came in the room, I was already admitted, and he was like, I'm so glad you guys brought her in because she wouldn't be here if you would have waited 12 more hours. So for a 14-year-old to hear that, you automatically, like, you panic, you know what I mean? So I definitely was just a ball of tears in that moment. But again, it goes back to the strength of my parents. They took him outside and they literally had a conversation. I didn't know this then. I knew this now as an adult, but they took him outside and said, hey, we want you to tell her enough that where she understands that she has to be in the hospital, but everything that is above that would make her panic, you need to filter that through us.
Right.
So those years as a teenager in the hospital, I got a filtered version of what was going on, which I'm forever grateful for, because the things that I found out as I got older in advocacy, I would not have been able to carry it. And maybe I would, but I'm thankful that I didn't have to. And so I did a lot of stuff that your normal lupus patients don't get to do. I was allowed to do a lot of things that technically I probably shouldn't have, which helped me navigate my diagnosis.
Okay, got it. So so you laid the background of the teenage, of when you first found out, and then those were your teenage years. Teenage years, like in your adult years, coming out of high school, like did it affect you? All right, let's talk about socially. Like, did it affect you socially? Because I don't remember. You still a social butterfly.
I was. I was still a social butterfly. Like I still pledged the amazing Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in college. I still went to college. I still had friends. Like I've always been a talker. I've always been a social butterfly. So that never stopped anything. I think the biggest thing was that anyone that was brought into my circle, I had to make it very clear what was going on. So I did lose people because of my diagnosis. And even when I started advocating, I had friends that, were telling people, oh, she's faking. Now, I say friends, but technically they weren't friends. They were just associates at that time. But I had people saying, my teachers, before I was diagnosed, they told my parents like, oh, she's a teenager. So she's going through a phase. And then when I got admitted into the hospital and came back, they didn't know how to react to me. But how can I get mad at, misunderstanding, misinformed? I can't get mad at that. You just didn't know, So that, I think I still remained a social butterfly. I think I just had to learn how to navigate it because it's hard having a friend with an autoimmune disease. And I recognize that.
So what type of support did you gain from just explaining to people, hey, I have lupus? Were people just like, what is that? Because when I first heard the term lupus, I'm thinking like it must be similar to sickle cell or something like that. But, because I didn't know what it was. Like, did you find any like support immediately, or people just like, all right, I don't know what that is? And,
I think because I had so much support internally with family that I didn't really let externally, I didn't let that bother me because I would get like the crazy looks like, what is that? Is it contagious? And so imagine grown adults doing this to a child, because as a teenager, I still say you're a child in that stage of life. And so I'm very, very blessed that I had my family. So they made me feel normal. They never made me feel like a victim. And so that gave me strength to when I did get those crazy looks. I did get, what is that? Or is that a real disease? When I got those, it didn't bother me. If anything, it fueled the fire for me to advocate for myself and to advocate for others.
Okay. So you mentioned the words advocate. So when did you start the organization, or get it in your mind, like I'm about to help people, I'm about to educate people on lupus and just pretty much just spread the lupus gospel in a respectful way, you know what I mean? Like.
What's up, good people? I hope you're enjoying the show. And if you want to show your support,
head over to divinededicatedclothing.com and check out our SC Power Moves merch shop. All right? Support the show. Appreciate it. Let's go. When did you get into that mode where you're like, all right, I'm about to, educate people on what lupus is?
It was on a whim, actually.
Yeah.
So
before you answer that, this is what I wanted to ask you before I asked you about social support. Did you know anybody else? Like once you started to go to the doctors, did you find anybody else or relate to anybody else that had lupus and you guys were in the office together just chilling, waiting for the appointment to start and it was nobody else?
Nobody. Everybody that I saw in the doctor's office was 30 to 40 years older than me.
Oh, okay.
I was a child. When I got admitted into the hospital, I was on the children's floor. And the one time that I was on the adult floor, I didn't know it at the time, but they told me that they were running out of rooms for younger pediatric patients and that they needed to move me up. The real reason was my heart was stopping at night and they moved me to cardiovascular floor.
When did you begin to advocate and begin to get on the journey where you felt like you were about to start educating people on what lupus is?
So in 2013, I remember, I don't even know where I was, but I was talking about lupus and the look that I got was one of those looks of, what is that?
Yeah.
And that just fueled something in me that was like, I got to start talking more about it. Because in my mind, it was like, how do people not know about this? Like you say cancer and everybody automatically knows. You say lupus and they're like, what is that? Still to this day, people still do that. And so I knew there was Lupus Foundation of America. And I said, okay, I'm going to do a fundraiser. And my goal was I wanted to celebrate. It was coming up to the day of my diagnosis anniversary.
Okay.
And so I said, okay, I got 4 weeks. I want to raise $1,000. And I literally just started getting on social media, putting out facts and asking people to donate to the fundraiser. And ended up raising almost like $3,000, way above my goal.
Nice.
But at the end of that fundraiser, I took a step back and was like, how is that helping this community?
Yeah.
How is that helping? Because at that point, I started meeting other survivors, but it was still a huge age gap, but I started meeting some. Mm-hmm. And so I said, okay, I want to do more. So that's where Give Lupus Royal Treatment. That was simply a campaign of me going around South Carolina to anybody who would listen, any organization that would listen, allowing me to tell my story and to talk about lupus.
And what was that called again?
Give Lupus Royal Treatment.
Give Lupus Royal Treatment.
And so the very first event I had was actually at the Cumberland, their fellowship hall in Aiken.
Okay.
That was the very first event I held, just talking about it. And I did that for a year, and then I said, I need to do more. And so literally I was talking to my mom and my sister, and I was like, I need a catchier phrase because Give Lupus Royal Treatment. It was long. Yeah. I was like, I need something that could roll off the tongue. And my mom and sister just started going back and forth, and my mom was like, well, you're still trying to crown. And Jessica was like, well, what about crowning lupus?
Yeah.
And it stuck.
That was it. Crowning lupus. So you had the name. You just had a name, or did you have you already had the mindset where you're going to create the nonprofit,
right,
and make it official?
Right.
You already had that mindset.
Yeah, I already had it. In my mind, it was I have to do more. Yeah. I didn't want to just advocate it. I come from being a service to the community, from everything from Girl Scouts to Key Club, even in college, I was volunteering all the time. So it was a matter of, okay, now I have Crown and Lupus, now what? Yeah, what's next? Yeah. So obviously that was the next step. Create the nonprofit and let's see how we can do more service.
So what was that step like to actually go and fill out the paperwork? How hard was that? Was it intimidating? Was it your first business venture or business move, I guess?
So it was interesting. Yeah. And it was interesting not because it was hard to do. It was because, unfortunately, we live in a society where everybody who says they support you don't actually support you. Yeah. And so Crown and Lupus actually was an LLC first.
Okay.
And then I was like, as we were trying to hey, we're trying to do this for a survivor, nobody wanted to donate to an LLC. So from that, I was like, okay, I need to figure out the steps. And so I started because, like some family members was like, hey, I got a friend. The friend was like, oh yeah, I'll help you start it for $1,000.
Steep.
Oh, I'll help you start it for $2,000. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
So the beautiful world of Google, I just started Googling and researching, and I was like, oh, okay, I just need to fill out this paperwork.
Okay, there you go.
So literally filled out my paperwork, and then it was, okay, I need articles of incorporation. I need bylaws. I need to figure out a board. Yeah. What is this board going to do? Yeah. What areas? And so then it was, let me find the talents for everything that I need so that this nonprofit can fully function. Yeah. And it has just continuously evolved over the years.
So you started the nonprofit, you filed the paperwork yourself. How did you go about building the team? Like you said, you had to have a board. Like, how did you find your board members, and are your board members lupus survivors also?
So I actually only have 2 lupus survivors on my board. Okay. But literally word of mouth. So that's the beautiful thing about me being a social butterfly. I'm never afraid to talk to anyone. And so it started as me asking coworkers, hey, I started this and I need help. Are you willing to help? So one of my sorority sisters was like, whatever you need me to do. Yeah. And then I had coworkers that jumped right on in. And so the board that exists today, I think only about 4 or 5 members are from the very start. Okay. We've definitely evolved over the years. But I'm so appreciative of every single person that's been with me along the journey, because they've taught me something. They've taught the programs that exist now. Like, it was a learning curve every step of the way. And so I'm super appreciative, because those people that I asked could have just been like, I don't know what she's talking about, because it was from scratch. It was literally ground up. They could have easily said no, but they said, hey, I'm going to take a chance. That's right. And from that chance, now we have what it is today.
So you got your board. When did you know that you needed to have a website? So when did that happen?
That was automatic. So when I had the campaign, I had a website, but I had did it. Okay. Once we turned into a nonprofit, I was like, unfortunately, people say, I'm going to start a nonprofit, and you see it as a minority girl saying, I want to start a nonprofit, and nobody takes it seriously. Gotcha. And I needed people to know, number one, if you really know me, then I love to laugh and talk, but also know that when I mean business, I mean business. And so one of my college friends, his friends ran a website, and I was like, hey, what do I need to do for you to make me a website? So he literally created my logo as well as my website. Nice. And he's still doing my website today.
Nice. I love the website. I was just moving through it earlier this morning. Talk about the programs that Crown and Lupus provides the community, and just I guess we should break each program down step by step.
Okay. So initially we had about 6 programs, I want to say, but we've kind of umbrellaed the programs because they all kind of deal with the same thing. So we have our Impact Health program. Okay. So under that program is where you see events where we're catering to lupus warriors, where we're doing our lupus support groups, where we're paying for medical, grocery, food delivery. That's where you see under that program. Gotcha. And then we also gift, some families, we gift them with money so that they don't have to think about, the reality is when you're an autoimmune patient, especially with lupus, your income automatically goes to, what do I need to put to the side so I can afford medication? Right. And so one of the programs under Impact Health allows us to give them money to however they want to use it. That is up to them, so that it's that one opportunity, they don't have to think about it. And then we have our scholarship program. The scholarship program was easy because my sister is an educator, and I wanted to do something to honor her. She has made just revolutionary footprints in the educational system, from Charleston all the way back here to Aiken, South Carolina. And so I wanted to make sure that I honored her. And so we have our Jen Scholarship, and then we have our Anita Eubanks Scholarship. And then
Anita Eubanks.
Yes. One of my cousins, her good friend, her mom was a nurse.
Okay.
And her passion was mentoring nursing students, minority nursing students. And so through her, she passed away a few years ago. And well, it's been several years actually, because it was before COVID. We wanted to honor her because she got sick and never really was able to fully live it out. Okay. And so we wanted to, pay homage to her so that her name will live on. So a number of students have benefited from her vision.
Got it. That's beautiful. Anita
Eubanks.
The Anita Eubanks
Scholarship. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we have that, and then
who's Jody's
Treasure? Jody's Treasure.
Jody's Treasure.
Jody's Treasure. So that's our mentoring program. So the name, it's funny you bring up the name because Jody, ever since I was a little girl, my grandma has always called me Jody Wally.
Okay.
And so I wanted to honor my grandma in some type of way. Yeah. And so I've always been a mentor. I've always believed in mentoring from youth to adulthood. And so when we figured out the age that I was already mentoring, I said, they are my treasure. So Jody's Treasure.
Nice.
Yep.
I like that. Jody's Treasure.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you go about the selection process for granting scholarships? And is it a selection process that goes on every year, annually?
Every year. So for scholarships, we have a board that decides, that picks those scholarships, but the applications are available online for a good 8 to 9 months. Okay. And then we choose at the end of the year, and those recipients receive their scholarship at our end of year program, where all of our mentoring students show their parents what they've learned with us over the year. Yeah. And then we give the scholarships recipients their financial blessing.
That's dope. So you do that before each, I guess, fiscal year for like the school year, or was it like?
Not really the school year, because now they're they're all year round school. So before it used to be like in May, and then we would gift it to them in July. Gotcha. Now we just do it in everything in December, so it's a one-stop shop.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay. I remember back when you started the Lupus Walk. Mm-hmm. And that's when I noticed the real momentum you had in the community. And I was like, damn, I'm like, wow, damn. Yeah, damn, this shit is on. I mean, damn. Listen, I was like, wow, this is on fire. You had a lot of momentum. And you had like that first couple walks, when was it? 20, I don't know exactly when it was.
So it was, because it made 11 years this year. Yeah. So our first one was, gosh, I don't even remember I feel like it was 2013 was our very first year.
I think so.
Because I hit the ground running. I hit the ground running. Yeah. Like when we started that nonprofit, I was like, I want to do a walk. And we made that walk happen.
Was you surprised by the reaction from the community, like how people got really, really behind it? Because like I said, you had a lot of momentum.
I was, more so because there was a lot of people who didn't know about lupus. Yeah. And so, unfortunately, sometimes when you don't know, you don't support. And so it was a humbling experience, but I was so thankful, and that showed me like, hey, do not stop this. Yeah. You are making an impact, and it's going to take you even further. And so to see where we started to where we are now has just been just tremendous.
And with that momentum came, I guess, sponsors and different types of partnerships.
Right.
Talk about some of the partnerships that you've developed over the years and nurtured over the years, and that helped you grow, and also you've helped them grow.
So I think one of the biggest sponsors has been Rural Health Services. Mm-hmm. So one of our board members actually works for the company. But from me being a patient, I think sometimes we forget about those first line people. They were put at the forefront during COVID, but before COVID, after COVID, people didn't really think about, your nurses, your janitorial staff. People didn't think about those things. Yeah. And for me, being a patient in the hospital, getting to see that firsthand, I was like, we have to show them appreciation. Yeah. And so Rural Health allows us to support their staff at least once a year. We choose a different holiday, and they get holiday themed gift bags that have little sweet treats that they can just enjoy at their leisure. Before COVID, we used to do our Halloween giveaway where their patients, we had them come and we would feed them, create a spooky house downstairs for the kids to go through. And it was just a great opportunity. And now we just, we don't do the spooky house. We're old now. So we're physically not able to do that. But we still do, we pick a holiday, and that holiday we do healthcare packages for them. And we do it with other ones. Another partnership has been 4 Mile Baptist Church in New Ellington. Our our back to school giveaway, like literally, Pastor Holly and his wife, as soon as I came to them with the idea, they were like, we're on board. And they have been a consistent partner. City of New Ellington, a consistent partner with us from the very beginning. You know, it's so many different people, like Amy Hibbett's, her pharmacy in New Ellington. It's just been so many organizations that have come, and I'm probably missing a lot of them, but like SRP, Federal Credit, you know, Federal Credit Union, Target just jumped on board. And so it's been a blessing, because it really does take a team. It really does take a village. I was blessed with the vision, but that vision would not come to fruition if it wasn't for our amazing partners and our team.
Nice. And speaking of team, can you shout out some of your team members that you want to give some recognition to?
Sure. So our CEO, my mom and my father, you know, our CEO is Jade Nealious. Our CFO is Jimmy Nealious. Our community outreach director is Ms. Gail Diggs, who actually works with Rural Health. Our public relations director, Erica Boyd. We have our fundraising director, Ranika Bryant, and her assistant fundraising director is Monica Williams. We have Jessica Nealious, who does kind of our education outreach almost. And so she is in that. We have our volunteer services coordinator and director, and our mentoring entrance director, Rachel Pope. We have our Jody's Treasures mentoring director, Aaron Rouse, and then the assistant director to that program is Dr. Tashawn Creswell. I like to make sure I put respect on people's names. And so that is my amazing team, and I would not be able to do half the things that Crowning Lupus does without that team. They are tremendous. Crowning Lupus would not exist. And then, oh my gosh, I can't remember. So the glue the whole board, our president, Valise Cummings. Most people know her as Valise R. Cummings. You know, she's the glue to our board. I think her and,
shout out to the glue.
You know, her and my mom, like, you know, that's one thing about my mom and my dad. You know, when I give them a vision, they may not understand it, but they are going to support it full force. So I would say, like, they are our foundation, because they're not just my parents. They act as moms to the entire board. They're huge. And so I'm really thankful for my team. So thank you, team, because we would not be here. I would not be here without you.
Shout out to the team. I love that. I love that you mentioned several of your friends and family that's a part of the team, and they take the time out to actually, you know, give their all and support you. That's what's up. That's what it's all about. Before we have to close out, I want to ask you this: like, what's the most shocking thing about lupus that you learned since your diagnosis?
I think the most shocking thing right now is that it takes almost 6 years to be diagnosed. I was a rarity in my diagnosis. My diagnosis, I started showing symptoms months in advance, but I got diagnosed within a week. Most patients, it takes 2 to 6 years, and by then the lupus has already done the damage. And so we've lost a lot of lupus patients because the diagnosis came so late, because it camouflages other diseases. I think that has been the most, because it's unlike any other disease where you can just go get a test and automatically know. It's, you go through some trials before you get that diagnosis that you need. So I think that's the most shocking thing.
Okay. So, like, what's the future for Crowning Lupus? Like, what's the next event? And I'm gonna save the last question, save this last part. But what's the next event that y'all have going on?
So the next event we have coming up, I will be speaking with Augusta University's research department to tell them about lupus and share my story. And then we will be having our mentoring program pick back up at the end of August. Okay. So that'll start back up. So right now I'm not going to say it's slow. It's just, between our support groups, all of that. So that is, coming up. So just our support group, our mentoring program, if you have a child that's we always say between 5 and 17, we're here, we're ready, we're able.
And you don't have to have lupus to be a part of the mentoring program.
So none of the students in our program have anything, have any ailment, have any autoimmune or anything. They are very healthy students. You don't have it. I think that's one thing that I love about having my own nonprofit is because I make the rules.
Right.
And so I wanted to serve. I love being a mentor. And so that was that opportunity to do that. I love serving the community. So that's how we're able to partner with other organizations and bring that to them. So while we do serve lupus patients, and that's our foundation, that's our root, that's what most of our programs are.
Yeah.
We definitely provide service that's outside of lupus patients.
Got you. And how can the people find you, find the services, and take advantage of everything that you guys are providing? Like, how can we contact you?
So you can go on our website at crowninglupus.com. We're on social media. So on Instagram, it's at crowninglupus. We have a Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter.
Yeah, who X's anymore?
So I'm sorry. Or they can email info@crowninglupus.com. They can reach out to us on Facebook. It's Crowning Lupus on Facebook. So there's a variety of ways to get in contact. And don't worry, you will not reach a robot. It will be a real person. It will be a real person.
That really cares about
Right.
I like that. Any closing remarks or any closing statements that you want to give before we get out of here?
I would say, I think the biggest thing that I would say is don't give up. There's always a blessing in the testimony. And sometimes you don't understand the trial that you're going through, but that trial may not be for you. It may be for someone else. I have learned over the years that a lot of the things that I went through have not been for me. It's been to show and be an example. And so you have to put one foot in front of the other. And no matter how many no's you get, I'm a firm believer that God puts purpose on every single individual. So you have to stay firm in your authenticity. You have to stay firm in your passion, because if God wanted somebody else to see your vision, he would have gave it to them. And so you have to stand firm in that and put one foot in front of the other and invest in yourself, because you deserve that. Because if you don't live out in your purpose and live authentically in the life that you are supposed to be living, then you're discounting yourself. And you deserve so much more than that. And that's whether you have an autoimmune or not.
Got it. So South Carolina Power Moves. This has been another dope show, another dope episode with Jade Nealious of Crowning Lupus, Aiken, South Carolina, New Orleans, South Carolina, giving back to the community. And that's very, very important. This is a channel about business, but we also understand that we have to do our due diligence and do our part to actually shed spotlight on individuals like Jade, individuals like Jermaine Patterson. Jermaine Patterson with Dream Big, Jade Nealious with Crowning Lupus, my community. But I'm Aubrey Dunbar. This has been SC Power Moves. We're here in the great city of Aiken, South Carolina, and we want to thank y'all, man. We out. Peace.
Bye.
Peace. Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the show, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share.